Brilliant. Well, take us back to the very beginning. How did you become a Christian, Rocky?
In God's providence, I grew up in a family that went to church a lot. Now, my family moved. So by the time I got out of high school, we moved. We probably lived in 20 different places.
Right.
But they generally had us attend church. Part of that was my dad was a gifted vocalist, so the churches loved him. And so in that process of attending church when I was 13 years old, the Lord just the Lord just impressed on my young heart that I was a sinner, and I knew that I didn't have a relationship with God. I'd been attending a youth group, and I remember where I was. I went to my father and said, I need to become a Christian, and he said, well, go talk to somebody in the church. And I learned later that my father didn't know the Lord at that time, and so I ended up going to the church and talking to an older saint that sat down and just shared the gospel with me. And that's when I put my faith in Christ. And I would say it was a rudimentary understanding, but it was a sufficient understanding. And I believe that's when God saved me. And I'm exceedingly grateful.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so special. I just love hearing people's testimonies. It's just so special, isn't it?
It is
How
great.
soon did you then feel a call into ministry? Tell us about what happened there, Rocky.
It's interesting because when I finished high school, I had in my mind that I wanted to go into wildlife management. And so I went to university in Northern California and I spent a year there. And when I got done with 1 year, I'd had enough science for the rest of my life. I mean, that was just not my thing. And
Right.
so I moved back to San Diego, California. And when I was there, uh, a youth pastor asked if I would come just help out with the youth group. And that was a life-changing event for me because as I got involved with the kids, specifically high school students, the Lord just burdened my heart that you know what, these young people need to understand both the power of the gospel, but they also need to understand what it means to dynamically live out the Christian life. And so God just gave me a real passion for young people. And from that point on, I'll be honest, it didn't matter if I had to work bivocationally, if I could do it vocationally. That's where I was going to be. And the Lord allowed me to do that for many, many years. I still love youth ministry. And many of the guys that I've trained for ministry, honestly, are kids that were in the youth group that went
Really?
on and served the Lord. Yeah, so that's my
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah, yeah. You now work full time as the president of Excel Ministries. Tell us about your work there and how you come to join up with them.
Okay, so Exo Ministries, when I first started in ministry, I began to grapple with why does the church not take a more active role in training men for ministry? So I went through some difficult ministry experiences, and frankly, I was shocked. I mean, I was just shocked. I didn't have a good understanding of the dynamics of the church, including the challenges of the church. And for many years, I prayed, God, how could the church take a more active role in training men? Now, let me be clear. I'm not anti-seminary guy, but I am anti the church not taking the primary role to train guys for ministry and then use the resources that are most helpful for the man. And so after several years of praying, I got a couple guys together. Two of them had been kids in the youth group and had gone into youth ministry. And I had the privilege of being a part of their training. And so I got them together and I said, hey, how about we start thinking and praying? How could we train guys for youth ministry in the context of the church and develop a consistent process so that they learn both theologically, biblical knowledge, practical experience, but where it's really carefully evaluated, intentional discipleship. So that we formed Excel Ministries in 1992, and we started doing that. And then over the years, we all started moving into other areas of ministry and thought, well, is there any reason we can't train men to be pastors, train people to be men and women to be missionaries and things like that? So we began developing a more robust internship program But all of this time, we only did it with under a few churches because we're all full time, right? So we're consumed with ministry. And so actually, it was just 3 years ago that I went full time with Excel and determined, you know what? We're going to try to help the church just regain its vision for training elders, training pastors, training missionaries. And again, using resources that are most helpful, but taking the primary responsibility. So when Tom did that little video to promote when I left Countryside, I wasn't sure if I'd be busy or not, but thank God I've been very busy and I'm very grateful.